Alright guys, so what we're going to talk about is our exponential functions. So let's start with just an example of an exponential function. An example of an exponential function would be y is equal to 2 to the x, where x is our unknown variable. Okay, we don't know what x is, and it is also the power to our 2. So what does this mean? Well, let's make a graph. Let's make a table, I'm sorry. Let's say x is here, y is here, and so basically we're going to plug in numbers in there, and let's keep them small. So let's say something like -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug those numbers in there. That's all we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and plug 2 to the -3. Okay, now when we talked about our exponential laws, I told you guys that we don't like to see negative numbers as exponents, so this could easily become 1 over 2 to the third power. And 2 to the third power, it becomes 2. Remember, that's 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, so this really just becomes 1 over 8. This over here becomes 2 to the -2. Alright, if you're wondering what am I doing, I'm plugging in my x values for y, which y is equal to 2 to the x power. So I'm plugging in this 3 in for x, which gave me the 2 to the -3, which I turned it into a fraction, which ended up being 1 over the 8th. So 2 to the -2, again, I'm going to go ahead and bring it down, make it positive. So 2 to the -2 becomes 1 over 2 squared, which ends up being 1/4, right? Because 2 times 2 is 1/4. 2 to the -1, once again, I'm going to go ahead and bring it down. And when I bring it down, this becomes 1 over 2, and that is it. What is 2 to the 0 power? Don't fail me now. 2 to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power is always going to be 1. Now we go back. Now we're in the positive, so a little easier. 2 to the first power is just 2. 2 to the second power is going to be 4. That's 2 squared. And then 2 to the third power, if my stylus would work, 2 to the third power, well, that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which gives us 8. And I ran out of room, so I went ahead and wrote it down there. Okay, so this is what our exponential function would look like in a table. Okay, give me a quick second. Let's see if we can see what it looks like in a graph. I'm going to go ahead and upload a picture. Alright, so here's my graph. And I'm going to plot my points. I'm going to plot these points right here. So when x is -3, right here, y is 1/8. Okay? So I'm going to need to use a fine pencil. And let's use red. When x is -3, y is 1/8. That's a fraction. When x is -2, y is 1/4. That's 1/4. When x is -1, we're at 1/2. So when x is -1, I am right exactly at half. When x is 0, y is just 1. When x is 1, it's 2. I should make these dots better. When x is 2, it's 2. When x is 2, it's 4. When x is 2, it's 4. And then lastly, when x is 3, y is 8. So if you notice, what's happening here is we are creating, it starts really low, and then it ends up going high. And if I continued going with my table, my numbers and my dots would be somewhere up here. So that is what your exponential function looks like in a table. This is what it looks like being given to you. If they asked you to give you a table, then you would plug in your x values that they give you in for x, which would give you your y values. And if you want to look what it looks like in a graph, then we are looking at something that starts off really, really low and then ends up going high. This is what your exponential function would look like.